in Illustrator how to use the divide objects below. You'll probably notice here it's not enabled, and the reason being you need to select a path. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to select one of these paths, say this one. Now the key thing is that it will only divide the paths that are below. So if I use this now, you'll notice here over in the layers panel that the ellipse is about in the middle. So anything below it will be divided, it'll be split. So if you want to use something that divides everything below, you need to create something on top. So let's just quickly go up here, make certain the layer up there is selected, and click here and create a design, say another circle. And that circle is this one. This is on top of all those existing ones. And the key thing is none of the others are selected. So now once you've got that, you can go to Object and you can go to Path and then Divide Objects Below. It is enabled now. So click and Apply. Now the design suddenly vanishes. That circle's gone, but you can see what's happened. It's where it crossed over, it's divided those paths. So you've now got a split in them. So if I go and select here, the select tool, and go over here, make certain I select this, just deselect those, and then select the individual ones. You can see that one selected, that's selected, but you can still make out the outline of the original circle. And again, you can select that one. Now it hasn't divided anything like here. These are not divided because they weren't below that design, even though they were below in the layers panel. It wasn't intersecting, so it didn't get cut. And you can see if you go here, all these are now cut where it crossed over. And you can just then drag this out and move that there, and so on. It's all split apart now into multiple shapes or paths. Here's another example. So I've got here two circles. The green circle is above the yellow circle. And I can reposition it, move it around, say there. And when I use the divide, it will create a split in the yellow. The green will go, but it will create a divide just along this part here. So Object, and then just go down to Path, and then Divide Objects Below. So Applied, and you can see now, here it is, cut like that. So I can then just move that, and I can recolor it, etc. If you want to divide some type, firstly, you need to convert it into paths. So let's just remove that and just go over here and select the type tool and just create some type. Very basic type, the word type. It can be anything, of course. It could be a whole paragraph. And you can then just drag this out so you can see it a bit clearly, and then simply go to Object and Expand. So Object and Expand, and make sure you've got Object and Fill Set. Click OK. So now you've got this group of compound paths. Now I'm just going to create, you could create any path, but I'm just going to go with a rectangle, and I'm just going to apply it across here, right through the center. Well, as long as that's the only thing selected, this rectangle, it's above all those compound paths and it's selected. So go to Object and down to Path, and then down here to Divide Objects Below. Now you can see the split all the way across. Well, what if you want to change the colour of the top half and the bottom half? Well, how to do that? Well, just go over here, make certain you've got here the selection tool selected, and now just double click. And now you're in isolation mode. Just so you can see it over here, you can see layer and group. And you can then select this part. Maybe you want to change the colour for that. You can go to this one, select that one, and then change the colour there, and select the colour green, and then go for blue, and so on, all the way across. Now, you might like to, of course, create the same colour for all of them. So select that first one, hold down Shift, select them individually as you go across there. And then just go down here, and then just change it all to red. And then do exactly the same with the bottom half. Just select that, again, hold down Shift, and select them all. Or just use this as well. You can use the layer panel and just select all these entries. But it's just easier visually to do it. And then just change the colour to say green. And then come out of isolation mode. So just click there and you're out of that now. And now the type can be manipulated further and moved around, etc. You can also divide 3D shapes as well. I've got some circles here. All I need to do is create something like a rectangle. So create a rectangle, and now once you've got this selected, as long as it's above all of those circles, you can see it here, rectangles right at the top, it's selected, object, and then down here to path, and divide objects below. And it will do exactly the same as before. Now you can see all of those circles are split apart. They still have the same 3D effect applied. So if I just there make certain they're all deselected, you can see the individual circles there just drag out like that. And you can see you can create some interesting 3D designs just by using divide command and just down there like that. In Illustrator, you can also use the divide command that can be found in the Pathfinder. Now, Pathfinder, Window, and Pathfinder, but it works slightly different. You have to select both of the paths, or obviously 15 or 20 paths, depending on how many paths you've got. And where the overlap is, you can see there, obviously the overlap of this path and this path, that will be where the split will be. So let's just select there. But you can see in this case, of course, it splits there as well. Go to Pathfinder and divide. It's here. It's right on the bottom row. Just click, and then you get a group. And you can then expand this out. So expand it out, and you can see now, instead of 2 paths, you've got 3 paths. Obviously the part where it was overlapping. I've got the selection tool here. Now I could just go over and try and select this. Well, no, I can't. What I need to do is double click, and then I can then move it this way again in isolation mode. And again, I can select it there and move it around, reposition it, and then come out of isolation mode like that, just there. So now I've got these 3 paths, and they're separate, but they're still part of a group. So if I just go over here and again select them like this, I can move them around as a group, and I can resize it, rotate it, etc. But if I want to move them around, I either use isolation mode by again double clicking, or I can go over here and I can select here in the layers. So just go here, and this is the one that was the central part where it overlapped. So I'm just going to select that. And now that is the one selected. You can see there it's selected, and I can reposition it, move it around, etc. Also can use this tool, the direct selection tool, and you can then select individual ones as well. You can also use the divide objects below if you've just got strokes as well. So I've got this design here, and this was created using the polar grid, and just go over here and I'm going to select a circle and click and apply. Now that is selected, it's above that polar grid. What I can now do is go to object and down to path, and then divide objects below. Now you can see over in the layers, it's a fairly complex path already, but using this command, you can see now you end up with a lot more fragments of different designs. But the key thing is the actual stroke size never matters. It just uses the stroke. It could be 0 points, it could be 50 points, makes no difference. Exactly the same design will be created. So let's just go over here and I can select individual paths. And you can see as I select them, you can see there and select there and so on. And then of course I can use the selection tool, or I can double click here. So I double click again, and you can see then I can go into isolation mode and I can select the individual parts. Sometimes because of the complexity, you have to double click again, and you can see as you go down to get to the individual points, and you can then just move that path around or just go to another path and so on and select that by again double clicking it. But again, you can also use over here the layers and select them this way as well. Hope you found this tutorial of interest. Any thoughts or questions? Also, any objects that you would like to be able to divide, please put in the comments below. Also, do you use this command? Have you used this command before? It'd be great to know. A like or dislike, always appreciated. Also, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you much. Bye.